Hello everyone. Happy Friday. We made it another week in lockdown, but there is an end. I can feel it. Auntie Gladys says there is this morning. But does everyone hear that Auntie Gladys isn't going to do her 11 o'clocks anymore? And I think that's brilliant, but there's a tinge of sadness there. I'm not sure why. I think in our clinic, it's, if it's 11:15, it's quarter to Gladys or 5:30 Gladys. I think that's how we've just kind of all adjusted, but it is coming to an end. So that's a good thing. So I am, for those of you that don't know me, I am Claire Rowe. I am the director of Rowe & Associates Child Psychology. Hey, Kelly, seeing a few people jumping on live. Hey, guys. If you want to tell me that you're here, chuck a comment in the comment section. And today we're talking about a great topic. We're talking about sleep and screens. It's going to be fantastic. And I'm so thrilled because today is the first day of Friday afternoons with a cracker lineup of people. Okay, I've got a lineup of people now for the rest of the year. And go and grab a cuppa. This is my mum cup. Oh, don't look at lockdown nails. It's called my mum cup. And hey, Edwina. Hey, everyone's figuring it out. It is quite Gen X. Yes, it is quite Gen X, but we can do it. We can get on this Facebook Live thing. Before we start and then I introduce my fabulous guest for today, I just want a little bit of a reminder that next week, Thursday night, I think there are 3 tickets left for our webinar, which is Understanding the NDIS. So if you go to our website, scroll down, you'll find it there. I think there's 3 tickets left with psychologist Caitlin Sheriff. She's going to understand, or help you understand rather, what the NDIS is, how it works, if your child is eligible for funding, how to apply, how to get through all that minefield of information, and how it kind of works and how you use your funding. So if you want to jump on that, that's next Thursday night, and I think there's just a couple of tickets left for that. Okay, so without further ado, I am going to bring in my guest now. As you know, I've put it out there that we're having Dr. Ginni Mansberg on today. So pleased, local superstar GP. I'm going to bring her in now. There she is. Hello, Ginni.
Hi. How's it going?
Good. I'm so glad you are. You're my first guest. You're the inaugural one. Thank you so much.
Amazing. I'm so honored.
Have you got a cuppa or something? Or
No,
wine?
I would normally shove a wine in here and pretend it's a cuppa. It's completely empty because I finished it before and then I was going to make another one and I ran out of time. So I've just got a kind of do we call that a fee? A fake tea is a fee. Anyway, I'm fake. Sorry.
I've just gone straight black. I just need all that goodness, nothing else, hold everything else, just the black coffee for me. Okay, so I'm going to let you introduce yourself a little bit. Most of my lovely parents I can see jumping online now would know that you're a local GP to us down at our beautiful family-based medical centre in San Susi. But people might also recognise your face from a couple of things. So I'll let you go through that because you've always got a heap of wonderful projects going on, and I know you've got a wonderful book out at the moment too. So do you want to just tell us a little bit, Ginni, about what you're doing at the moment? Great.
So apart from being in lockdown, hello friends, how much fun is this? I do see patients. I love seeing patients in San Susi medical practice. I am doing some bit of TV. I've been with Channel 7 at Sunrise since 2008. It feels like forever. So I'm kind of, part of the family there. And then I've got some podcasts that I do. I write some books and I do some speaking, and then I do some other stuff that is behind the scenes. So I'm doing some consulting, and I also started a skincare company a few years ago. So that is super, super, super busy, because while we do private label for plastic surgeons and dermatologists actually around the world, which is kind of crazy, we also have a brand that we started in around 2018. So that is really busy. And in the middle of the pandemic, we just moved to a bigger warehouse and office and launched a new website, and we've got a new product launch next week. So that's super busy as well.
Done. Fantastic. And the link to that's on your website, right? To your skincare brand as well? Yeah.
So skincare's ESK and my website's Dr. Ginni. Oh, yeah, you've got it up. Thanks, Claire. You're the best.
Beautiful. Hey, guys, a couple of people saying hi, jumping on. Yeah, if you've got any questions as we're chatting as well, pop them in the comment box. Okay, so what I thought we'd do is I would start off with a real couple of icebreaker questions first. I haven't prepped you on these, so I'm just going to shoot them at you. Is that okay?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. What is Dr. Ginni reading, watching, or listening to right now? I think I'm like everybody. I'm like I've annihilated everything that's available on Netflix, but I do really love Killing Eve, and I just can't get over how good that is. That is just so funny. So love Killing Eve. I have just been sent the Single Mother's Handbook by Jacinta Tynan, and I'm about to get into that. That's her latest book, and I just think, I just finished Lee Sales' book, which was great, and so now I'm going to go into Sense books, which will be great. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so watching. Oh, and then did you ask listening? That's okay. You didn't do all three. That's cool.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, no, that sounds amazing. The Single Mother's Handbook.
Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah, I think so. I've got it over there. I'll go get it.
Okay. And what did you want to be growing up?
Oh, a ballerina and a princess. It's kind of standard. Didn't every girl? And I was really only
mermaid. I'm still trying to. She's still on the mermaid thing.
Yeah. Just like those pesky legs, it'll cost you your voice. I then did transition to a singer, and I did have this moment at the end of my HSC where I did have to make a decision between opera and medicine. I got into medicine. I was training in opera. I was gonna do it, and it's just a hobby now.
Yeah. Wow. So, okay. Yeah. Wow. There you go. I didn't know that about you. There you go. Okay. Have a few wines and bring the song later. Okay. And
I'm a dab hand on a karaoke. Just watch out. Okay.
Some Andrea Bocelli. Break it out. Last question is, what are you most looking forward to? What is the first thing you're going to do when we have no restrictions?
I'm probably going to just keep drinking, but it's just going to be in the company of other people. I've just gone too far into the 1 o'clock. I got myself a cocktail shaker. I'm really hardcore. I'm putting dirty in the martini. I've got my olives. I've got my lemon twist. Just really bad. But now I've got all of these cocktail making skills. I need to I don't bake, because I would rather drink my calories than eat them. So I've just I think I'll have to just basically make cocktails for everyone. I would like to see my children. I have 2 children in America that I have not seen for an incredibly long time. So I would really like to see them, and I'm hoping that they'll be able to come home for my daughter's wedding next year in April.
Oh, wow. Okay, April. They should be able to. Touch wood, but yes. Okay. Wow. Family reunion. That's awesome. Okay. All right, so I think the topic that we're going to talk about today, we could probably just keep talking about all day. So it's going to be a tough one to kind of keep concise. But let's start with sleep. All right, sleep in our kids, because obviously with people that come and present to me as a psychologist, and they're coming with symptoms of depression, sometimes inattention, anxiety, poor behavior, behavioral problems, and so forth. I personally think sleep is the most number one overlooked that might be mimicking some of those symptoms, whether it be ADHD symptoms, anxiety symptoms, poor behavior, hyperactivity. I personally think that, 99% of the time it is not asked about enough and it is overlooked. What do you think? What are you seeing?
Amen, sister. Amen. Amen. It is like the most important thing. And when you look at, number one, the fact that your kids will not recognize sleep deprivation in themselves, that we as parents are terrible at recognizing sleep deprivation. We just don't get it. And that healthcare professionals are neither asking for it nor recognizing it. So you can't go to your doctor, or even like, you are unusual, Claire, but most psychologists don't even say, so what time are you going to bed and what time are you waking up in the morning? It's totally unrecognized. And as a result of that, we're just seeing like this huge problem of sleep deprivation. And added to that, we've got really good data that shows that like very few kids in Australia, particularly teenagers, get enough sleep, because teenagers think that they need less sleep. They think they need sleep like an adult, and they don't need the sort of same sleep as their younger siblings. That's just not true. We know from studies that in fact teenagers need all of the same sleep as their younger siblings and their younger selves. They're just not getting it. But also what we know is that they're like, the consequences of not getting enough sleep are diabolical, and everything from eating disorders to self-harm to bad behavior on the internet, like, trolling people or saying mean things or sending stupid pictures that then they regret, poor academic performance, poor sporting performance. Literally every single thing that we worry about with our kids is increased, including acne and weight gain and low immune system, is all increased by dint of low sleep. So when you put the fact that we don't ask about it and we don't recognize it, but the consequences are huge, I agree with you. Let's not even start a discussion till we've at least addressed the sleep, because sometimes that'll fix it and they don't need to go back to you, right? They're sorted now because they've got their sleep sorted, and actually that was what was wrong.
Absolutely. And before, from my perspective, like you said, how many times do people come and they've seen other psychologists, and not to diss my own profession here, but they haven't even asked. And the other thing is, this is the one thing, I suppose, with screen time as well, that parents come along and they want that definitive number off me. They kind of want, well, how many hours should they be on a screen, and how many hours should they be asleep? And I find I get parents coming along saying, oh, my kids go to bed really early. Like, I know it's really early. It's like 8 o'clock. And they're like 10, and I go, that's not early. Like, that should be, well, it's not normal, but it should be the norm, right? And they go, oh. And I go, unfortunately, it's not the norm, but they kind of come along thinking that's really early and unusual, that their child's getting 10 hours sleep. I go, no, hallelujah, like that's not very common, but hallelujah, that actually happens. And so, it's weird, because then, of course, every kid, I remember myself saying to mum, every other kid goes to bed at 9 o'clock, we're at 7:30, every kid does, And I don't know, maybe that is the case. I feel like it is the case now that every kid's going to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock. But do parents ask you how much, and is there such thing as a number for children?
So let's unpack that. Is there a number? Yes, as you say, it's 10 hours for younger children, but the one that a lot of people don't realise is that even for teenagers, they need 9 to 9.5 hours of sleep a night. So if you think that an adult needs 8 hours of sleep a night, and so you think, well, she's 14 now, like that's pretty much an adult, her body is adult-like, that's fine for her to go to bed at 11. If it creeps out till 12, it's not the end of the world. She can wake up at 7 the next morning. That's sleep deprivation. And if you add that up over a 1 week period, that's 14 hours of sleep deprivation. And then that kind of, goes from there, and that we know that leads to negative consequences. In terms of, do people ask me? No, because people don't realize it's a problem. So I think what I've seen happening is, in general, you've got more families where both parents are working. And so if you only walk through the door, by the time you've picked kids up from after school activities or after school care, you get home, now you need to start cooking your dinner. And then you've got the whole nightmare of homework, which in my lifetime as a GP has just gone, I don't know what the hell is going on here, but like literally it's out of control. These kids have now got little kids with like 2-3 hours of homework a night that mum feels responsible for. Like at least that's one good thing in the pandemic. That stopped.
Can I just say, Ginni, just to sort of cut you off, but from a behavioural perspective as well, there doesn't seem to be, and this is a whole other topic, but there doesn't seem to be any consequences at school for not doing your homework either, but you have to do it. You have to get it done. So I say to parents, like, do not battle homework. Do not battle homework. If they don't want to do homework, fine. They'll have to go to school and they'll have to explain to their teacher why their homework's not done. We're talking primary school years. And teachers and parents say to me, oh, yeah, but like nothing really happens if they don't do it. And I say, well, I'm with the kid. Like, why would you do it? Why would you do it then? I don't understand.
100%. Especially because there is no evidence from any literature at all that homework is beneficial for children, as in primary school children, either in bedding down the concepts that they've learnt at school, educational outcomes, future outcomes in career prospects. There's no positives for it, but it often sets up quite a negative energy in the household. You know, if you're fighting with a kid, do your reader, and they won't do it until you sit on top of them. Well, how on earth are you meant to get a year 5 kid off to bed by 7 o'clock? No. If you want to get home at 6 and they've got 3 hours of homework, apart from that they need you to sit on top of them, apart from, you know, shower and, you know, cleaning their teeth and just having some relaxation time and having some dinner, and you're cooking the dinner.
Yeah.
Not actually the physical time. So I'm a fairly radical, because my kids are older now, but I was a fairly radical parent, and I looked at the evidence, the data around homework for children in primary school, and I could only see negatives. I couldn't see any positives. As a working mum, I just thought, I can't see any value in, I think we're just hoop jumping here. I think they're trying to please the parents by giving us more stuff to do at home so that we can feel more involved. Mm-hmm. I don't need that. My kids don't need that. So I would be that moron who would turn up at the first day, meet the teacher, and I'd be going, my kids won't be doing homework.
I love it.
Don't send it with them. You're not going to do it. And if you have an issue with it, talk to me about it. Don't blow the kids up about it, because I'm not letting you do it. So it's just not, it's banned. Banned from homework. And you know what? I also I'm not a big fan of like multiple structured organised activities in the afternoon. I think in Australia kids have to be swim safe, you know, as long as they can get out of the surf and get out of a pool safely. If you've got an Olympian cyclist, or you've got a future Manchester United from, you know, $3 million a match, go you good thing. That's a good investment. Do that. But for park soccer, plus, you know, Kumon maths, plus extra English, plus, you know, 3 musical instruments and tennis, I don't see a value in it. It just puts more stress into my life. So I'm not interested. So we basically had, you can choose one. It was nearly always soccer in the winter and athletics in the summer. That's fine. You do one. I'm prepared to take you to one. And that's it. I'm not taking no.
Because that also means going back to sleep. That also means that you kind of boundaries around. Thursday is a little bit of a later day, so I don't know, we'll do the quick slap dinner because we're a bit home later, and it's kind of contained to Thursday, and it doesn't encroach on every single other, you know, bloody night of the week, because absolutely, and that's something that I sit down with people when I first meet them, and I literally go through their week. What happens on Monday? What happens on Tuesday? And yeah, they may have come to me for some kind of other obscure kind of reason that they don't think is related, but I'll go through literally their household routine, and then what happens, and it's just, it stresses me out hearing about it. Like it's just too much.
We need to unpack this, because we need to unpack stressed out parents' days, because look, during the pandemic, no one's going to tennis, no one's going to soccer, no one's doing after school activities in terms of homework. So in some ways it's a little bit easier. There've been a lot more that's very stressful, but we're going to have to contemplate what happens first term next year. What are you going to put into your kids' days? How are you going to, what is first term of 2022 going to look like for you and for your family? And this is a great time to think about what is going to work inside your family. And is there more value in sitting and chatting to your kids, talking to them? Do you get time to talk to your children that is not all about eat your dinner, do your homework, where's your reader, where's your school uniform, come on, we're late for soccer, we're late for ballet, we're late, all of the stressful negative conversations that move your relationship with your children into a space that you don't want it to be. How much can we unpack and take away? And how much can we just get you doing normal things? Like, can you go and ride your bike with your brother?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what a great time to do it now, like a bit of a reset.
Like, can we use this experience of lockdown and how afternoons and evenings are not that stressful to reset the family ethos around stress and stuff that's packed into a kid's day? They're exhausted. These kids are finished. They got too much on.
100%. And it's stuff. Ginni, you may have read it, and everyone here who would like to read this book. My favorite book is called Simplicity Parenting. And it's by
I love it already.
Yeah, you'll love it. It's my favorite book. And so if anyone is interested in learning about how to simplify their lives and improve their behaviour and relationship with their children, it goes through ways that we can strip back and simplify our children's lives. It's brilliant. Okay, so yeah, I think overarchingly the takeaway point though there is that if you want to get your kids into bed at a decent time, you need to be looking back at the 4 hours before it and what's happening.
Yeah, 100%. And you working, you don't have much of a choice about it. I mean, it'd be really nice to just go and live in a tent and not have any expenses and not have to be a working parent, but like very few of us have that option, right? So don't feel guilty about what you can't avoid, but don't take on what you don't need. No, I'm alarmed, to be honest, at the number of my primary school patients who are doing after-school tutoring to get them into an OC class, it's a special opportunity class, or to get into a selective high school. It's or even just because to give them some help. If your child has learning needs, special needs learning, then you should be working with the school, and that should be happening inside the school. It's just not necessary to take on all that stuff as additional stress for you, the parent. It's enough. You've got enough. And your time, I can say this as somebody whose kids are in their 20s now. It goes so fast. It's so fast. And then you don't have it anymore. These kids are with us for such a short time, and it's so beautiful. And you want to really connect at that time and not spend it beating each other into submission over stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah. 100%. Great. Just got a comment there saying, yep, don't get me started on the tutoring for selective schools. It's just, and then it just breeds all that competition and so forth. I know we've got a few people on with kind of that early teenage, like 12, 13, we're just getting into that, and they're kind of all oh my goodness, they've just got the phone and they've got the social media account set up. So the connection between sleep and screens, I have a contract I give parents out when they get a phone, right? And
amazing, yes.
It's a 2-page contract. They sign it, parent signs it. This is what you're going to do.
This is magic. Yes.
And I think so many parents know all these things that are on my contract, but they give it to them at Christmas or the birthday, and the phone's ripped open and it's turned on, and then it's like, at some point we'll get to it. Yeah. But then it's really hard once they've had it for 8 months and it's in their room overnight to scroll that back. So I'm just seeing, the glow face till 1 a.m. in the morning of 14-year-olds. Is that what you're seeing? Because that's
absolutely. And it's what we know from data. We've got really strong data about that most kids will say, I don't look at my phone after I go to bed. I just need it for my alarm. So amazingly enough, in case you weren't aware, there is still such a thing as an alarm clock.
Yes.
Yes, they're everywhere. And so
in my clinic.
So you don't actually need your phone to be an alarm clock. And that goes for mum and dad as well, because the data is pretty strong that people who have their phone by their bed do not sleep as well, because as you roll over, you just check your phone. And for these kids, you know, for any Gen X parent who's on this Facebook Live today, if you think back to when we were kids, you saw your friends as you walked through the gate, maybe on the bus in the morning. You were with them at school, but everybody was around. You didn't have much one-on-one time with your friends. And then you got the bus home with whoever was on the phone, and then with whoever was on the bus. And then if someone wanted to talk to you on the weeknights, they had to go through the gatekeeper of your mum. They had to talk to your mum and say, "Hi, Mrs. Jones, how are you? Can I speak to Sally?" And Sally would be given 5 minutes before her dad would be telling her to get off the phone. But you'd be talking in front of everyone, right? So you just didn't have that unfettered access. These kids have access to each other 24/7 in a way that intensifies friendships it puts a huge burden. And our daughters in particular, who are, you know, just overflowing with empathy, and they love their friends to pieces, but they feel an ownership of their friends' mental health. And they feel that they need to be there. And if their friends text them or Snapchat them at 1 a.m. and they're not there for them, they feel guilty and remorseful and like they have let them down. And given the prevalence that we have of poor mental health, these girls are being really, it's so hard for them because they can't switch off. No. They can't. And next to them, but they feel like they owe it to these besties. So the only reason I'm bringing this up is because it's not that our kids are lying to us and are trying to deceive us and trying to say, no, mum, I won't look at the phone. Just leave it there because, you know, I need it, you know, for my alarm or whatever other excuse they come up with. It's not their fault. So they need to be able to chuck their bitch of a mum and the bitch of a psychologist and the bitch of a GP together under a bus. And I keep telling my patients, tell your friends, oh my God, I just went to the GP. She's such a cow. She told my mum that I've got to put the phone in the laundry at 9 p.m. Oh, my mum is such an idiot. She believes her. And so unfortunately, I'm not going to be on the phone anymore. Chuck me and mum under the bus. We're good for that, right? You know how often I get pushback from the kids? Never.
Wow.
Never, because they know it's not helping them and they are looking for a reason not to be at the beck and call of their neediest friends.
Yeah.
They're on call of the neediest friends 24/7, and we need to get them out of it and we need to rescue them by allowing ourselves to be chucked under the bus. But step one is absolutely no phones. If you're in a 2-story place, phones stay downstairs. If you're in a 1-story place, phones go in the entire family's phones, line up all of the chargers and all of the laptops, the iPads, they all go into the laundry from 9 p.m. Lock the door. That is done because we know from data that this is bigger than they are. They can't say no. We have to help them.
I love this, 100%. I just love this. It's getting me excited. I love it. And the times that, you know, we've had, teenage girls in my house and you know, the phones are downstairs plugged in. I love the idea of locking the laundry. Okay, we had kids that were quite trustworthy and they didn't touch them, but I have had clients say to me, they'll just go get them. I love that idea. But anyway, they were in the kitchen and I'd come down in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning and make a cup of tea. And, you know, they were kind of 12, 13. So out of curiosity, you just kind of, you know, you turn the screen on and have a little look at what's going on there. And the notifications through the night are just like, I'm just scrolling these notifications, right? And I think it's really important to point out it's not their fault, because if I was lying there in bed and my phone was across the other side of the room and I've got kids saying, I'll put it on the other side of the room, and I could see it light up with a notification, these things are meant, that's how they work, right? They're meant to work neurologically on us so that we can't resist looking. And so, of course, you're going to want to get up there and look. I would want to have a look at who's tagged me in something, So it's not their fault. And removing that from that temptation, just saying, I need to step in now as your parent and make that decision. You're not capable of doing that. I love it.
But if we say that to them, they'll get their backs up. So let's not say that. Let's say our family, we use too many screens. I am like, my sleep, we're all going to do this as a family project. Me too. I'm going and buying 5 alarm clocks for our family, and I'm putting all of the screens, my iPad, my laptop, the whole lot is going in the laundry. And we're locking it up and we're giving the key to Dad because you know what? I can't help myself. I'm a disaster. Let's all do this. And because I think if we single one kid out for the diet because they're the fat kid, or the tutoring because they're the dumb kid, or the phone removal because they're the naughty kid, it makes them feel, kids are very self-centered and they're very justice-oriented. And they'll just say it's unfair and they won't take on board the messages you're trying to give them. If you have a more inclusive message that says, hey, our family is going to go radio silent from 9 p.m. every night, because that's what the literature says, this is what the science says, then it's an equity thing they can't throw at you. And so don't single them out and say, I can't trust you, I can't control you, you're just on your phone all the time. Those things slip out. But they will feel offended and they will feel isolated from you. We've got to build up our families into a solid unit again where we're all on the same page and working together collaboratively rather than trying to hurl abuse or accusations or things that they perceive as unfair at them.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, we've got a little question that's just come through from Alex. How do you negotiate with a 16-year-old to get off devices and go to bed earlier, especially now that this is their main connection with friends?
Which it really is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, should you be negotiating, first of all?
I think the thing to say is that Claire and I both deal with 16-year-olds where they've had access to a phone for 3-4 years and we're still negotiating this now. So yes, it can be done. And you might dread it, but it often goes better than you think. I often phrase it within the context of an entire family. So I think if you try and single out the kids as the one kid as being a problem, then their justice radar just goes berserk and gets really cranky with you. So we're all going to do it. Me too, Dad. Everybody's going to do it. That's my first point. My second point is that lack of sleep has been linked. Now, I've put a whole chapter in The New Teenage with all links to all the studies about exactly what happens when kids don't get enough sleep. The reason why I put studies with links into acne, to weight, to academic performance is because you need to know what will push your kid's button, and you know that better than anyone. So, but it's self-harm, depression, suicidal thoughts, all of these things, they won't recognize it, you won't recognize it. So here's a resource that will tell you, oh my goodness, who knew you need 9 to 9.5 hours of sleep a night? We're certainly not getting that. I'm not getting enough sleep. All of us are not. We're going on a family sleep renovation. This is what we're going to do as a family. We're going to put our devices away together because it's what we're going to do as a family unit. It's going to suck. We're all going to have to detox off this. We're going to bitch about it together. But at least you're not singling the kid out for some special punishment because they're bad or naughty. They're victims in all of this. As you said, Claire, who's big enough to resist the pinging phone?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I've just put the name of your book there. That's the name of your book. Yeah. The New Teenage. Yep. Love it. Excellent. And so there's a whole chapter there on obviously sleep, screens. What else can we expect in that book?
So I guess we put, so I wrote it with a girlfriend who's a clinical psychologist. And so we put together some what we called our 5 C's of how to approach every single problem, because we thought things are so specific from, what's being said on social media to, what if they're sent a dick pic, but like all sorts of things so we put an overarching 5 C's. So it's compassion, for your teen. I think that that's really important. Connection. So it's re-cementing those connections, because when losing connections, because all of our time is busy time instead of really good connection time. Collaboration. So whether it's collaborating with your teen, but also the other amazing resources around you. Competence. So why we said competence is, if you go in and tell your kid, if you go on Facebook, a pedophile will get you and die, they'll look at you like you're an idiot, with good reason. Number one, none of them are on Facebook. Number two, there's like the whole thing that we used to get cops going into schools telling all the parents, don't let your kids on Facebook because they'll meet a pedophile and die, right? That is just really stupid advice, because at the end of the day, yes, some of them might meet a pedophile, but the biggest issue is really run-of-the-mill stuff. They're not going to get enough sleep. Excuse my dog being rude. They're just not going to get enough sleep. They're going to have, a propensity towards following people with eating disorders. There's those kinds of risks in there, rather than they're not all going to meet a pedophile. So you've got to know your facts. If you're going to talk about vaping, know the facts. So there's got to be a bit of baseline competence. What we tried to do is give you the studies, give you the facts that you can talk with competence. And then confidence. Sometimes you need to puff your chest up, and you're dreading having this conversation with your 16-year-old daughter about taking away her phone and all that kind of thing, but you're just going to go, you know what? This is what we're doing. We're doing it tonight. It's going to suck, but we're going to do it together, and you've got to fake it till you make it sometimes, so that, because your kids need you to be the rock, And so anyway, we've got chapters on eating, we've got chapters on bullying, we've got chapters on school, we've got chapters on suicidal thoughts, eating disorders, self-harm, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, sexuality, information about all the STIs, sexually transmitted infections you'll ever need to know about, facts about contraception, acne, polycystic ovaries, weight gain, as much as we could think of, everything that in our experience parents of teenagers want to know about in a kind of a one-stop shop. That's what we tried to do.
Brilliant. Oh my goodness.
Sleep being the first chapter. Sleep's the first chapter, because it's the most important, and because it's the thing and it was interesting you saying, Claire, that it's the first thing you ask. We spoke to heaps of experts for this book, and Professor Chris Seaton is a sleep specialist at Sydney Children's Hospital, and also the Children's Hospital at Westmead. And he said that of all the people he sees, number one, if he can get these kids before the age of 14, he can fix their sleep for sure. After the age of 14, it becomes more difficult, and the later you leave it, the harder it is. So just for any parents out there, deal with this sooner rather than later. And the other thing that he said is, often these kids are seeing a psychologist for depression, and he goes, and so what are they doing about your sleep? And he goes, and he says to me, they're very rarely even asked about sleep from psychologists. It's just not dealt with, even for 5 minutes within, a 20 sessions of mental health care plans. So that's quite distressing to hear, but we as parents could do this better, and we'll reap great dividends from that.
Absolutely. If anyone's got any final questions, throw them in now before we finish up, or comments about their kids. I love that expression. I've seen so many memes. It's like, childhood punishments are adult goals. Like, wouldn't you just love someone to come home and go, you need to go to bed earlier? Okay, sure. You can't go to that party on the weekend. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
That was the moment. Party sounds pretty good. So, I think, as you said, a lot of kids are taking, and those kids might be kind of on stimulant medication for hyperactivity, or they might be on an antidepressant, or they might be on, we might have gone down a whole other path of diagnosis and treatment. And look, they may have those issues as well. But sleep is one of the things that we can nut out, and the basics we can lay down first before we get to the 20 sessions of therapy. Let's just get the basics down first.
And you'll benefit too.
Sorry?
Well, the parents will benefit too, because we're all sleep deprived as well. So it's a win-win for the entire family. And it's just and a win that you can experience together as a family, so that the family's kind of fist pumping together. We did this, and then sit back and do a debrief. Like, okay, we're 2 weeks into this. How are we feeling? Like, how's this going? What's good? What's bad? Did you feel left out? You might have that fear of being left out, the faux blow. in the first day. Your teenage daughters in particular might really, terrified to walk through the school gates, but it's normally fine. Very rarely is there any really bad consequence of not having been around, and their friends just know.
That's right.
Yeah.
She's not available, and that's okay. Ginni, we've had one other question come through that's unrelated. So I might pop it up, and we might, if you've got another 2 minutes, because I think it'd be right up your alley. I think you'd be great at answering it. It's not sleep related, but Nick says here, how do I deal with a 10-year-old ADHD girl spotting each month?
Spotting us in periods?
As in periods, Nick, is that what you mean? Maybe just type in, what do you mean, and is it because she's struggling with that? I mean, that can occur, right?
Normal. Yeah.
It's not super even sometimes. I'm seeing kids come through at that age. Is that right?
Yeah, that's normal. So average age in Australia is 11, so 10's hardly an outlier at all. I've got a lot of 8 and 9-year-old patients who have that. Welcome to like the next 40 years of her life. This is going to be a feature of this. I would just normalize it for her. There's too much about periods. It's an amazing thing that your body does. Like, it's actually incredible what your body does. And I spend quite a lot of time explaining what a period is in my book, because I think people don't celebrate it enough. It's just an incredible feat of nature.
How many girls, teenage girls, don't know why the blood's there? So many. I'm so shocked.
100%. And they think that then similarly, if they don't have a period, like, because I'm telling them to skip periods on the pill because they're iron deficient, because, a third of teenagers are, they're like, but doesn't the blood need to come out? Because they think they might have, they might have some evil venom that comes out in the blood every month. No, the purpose is not to bleed you of your venom. It's actually just to make a nice new landing spot for the incoming baby, which at 10 you don't really need, I hope.
Which at 10 is quite confronting.
Yeah. And you can just keep the blood in your body.
Nick has also just said, can I get her checked yet for PCOS at that age?
So it's unlikely that she will have developed full-blown PCOS at 10. That would just be early, but you can get her tested for insulin resistance. So that's just a matter of going to your GP and saying, look, I'm a little bit concerned. The symptoms of PCOS, if you're worried about it, are they do gain weight easily, but they do have irregular, often quite heavy and painful periods. They have often what we call hirsutism, so hair growing in weird spots. Acne that is disproportionate to, not normal acne. It's often a lot worse. They're often quite sweaty, and 75% of these girls with PCOS do get anxiety in particular, and they're also prone to depression. So if you are worried about any of those symptoms, then go and talk to your GP about it. It is, some studies, actually Australia and Monash University is the world leader in PCOS research, and they've actually developed the world guidelines. They say that up to 1 in 5 girls have it.
Yeah, I've read that actually. Yeah, huge amount. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, thanks for your question, Nick. That's brilliant. Well, we might end it there because it's Friday afternoon and the sunshine this weekend, if you're in Sydney, people, is brilliant. And I don't think there are exercise restrictions now on time. And exercise, I keep telling people, I really wish they'd stop using that word, really, because people are like, I'm not running 5Ks. Just meander, just walk, just get out there. You don't have to be pumping the iron and people go, oh, it's an hour of exercise, but just get out in the sunshine, and it's going to be a cracker of a weekend.
Bye, everyone.
See you later. Thank you so much, Ginni. Really appreciate it. Thanks all of you guys for joining in. Talk to you soon, Ginni. Thank you.
Bye.
The book. See you later.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.